Hello, it's Eitan Bernath. Welcome to the first ever episode of Insatiable, my podcast, where I talk about people's passions, explore their obsessions, and the thing that gets them up excited every single morning, and just the full 360 of it. For my first episode, I have my good friend who's a chef, restaurant owner, author, father, and the best dressed man in every single room he walks in. Marcus, welcome to the kitchen.
Normally I don't dig the guinea pig situation, but this is the good one.
Yes.
This is a good one, and we're breaking grounds here.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're here. And I mean it, every time I do any event with you or anything, you are the best dressed person. Do you like... One of my questions later is where you find all your incredible clothes.
Only you and I, we know we can say this because Noah's not on camera.
Yes.
But
he's there.
He feels like he's the best dressed
Yes.
person. So I am officially the best dressed on this side of the camera.
Fair.
Always best dressed because, I am so excited. So you are now this is a new endeavor. I love that.
We're at long form.
So what are we doing?
Yeah, so last time you were here, I made with you an Ethiopian dish.
Yeah.
So today I thought I would cook you a dish from my upbringing. So I'm making Hungarian goulash.
Goulash.
Not quite as flavor-packed as Ethiopian food. There's no Berber.
Goulash from the great Austria and, of course, Hungary.
Yes.
With all...
So I'm just going to cook for you while I interview you. I figured, you cook all day. You're a chef. And now I'm a wine man, as you know. So with this goulash, it's good to have something nice, high acid. Yes. So I'm going to be pouring this is just a California Pinot Noir, something light, acidic. It'll kind of cut through some of that fat.
I'm a little bit confused because when I got in here, you basically just put your bags down from Spain.
Yes.
Which was also something around wine, right? So this
is secret around wine.
That's secret around wine.
Yes. Cheers. Cheers.
Good. You're getting fancier. This is nice.
I'm trying.
Yeah, no, you definitely get. Like before, you maybe got a soda when you popped in here.
No,
now we do wine.
Now we do wine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see off camera my extensive wine collection.
This smells incredible.
Yeah, so I've already started cooking up our onions, some peppers in there. Now, I want to explore your passions.
Yes.
Now, out of all, in this food world, I've met a lot of incredible people, have a lot of friends. Out of everyone that I've ever met and know, you are the most ambitious, and not just ambitious, but execution plus ambition when it comes to restaurants, business endeavors. I've been to many restaurants. I've been here in New York, in Harlem, in the Bahamas.
Yes.
I feel like every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm opening a new restaurant here, here. Recently in Addis Ababa. And so I want to talk to you. Like, to me, I feel like, my podcast, this Insatiable podcast, is about people's insatiable appetites for what they do. I've always been a very obsessive person. When I do something like wine, for those of you who can't see off camera, there's about 350 bottles of wine in this room. And I find your, appetite for what you do, it feels insatiable. It feels like that you're not like, okay, I open this restaurant, I'm done. And, from what I know about you, you really love to bring people together, create these, your restaurants are not just like, okay, go grab some food, done. They're almost like works of art.
Yeah.
What fuels that appetite?
Well, first of all, I think ambition is something that inspires me. Ambition, people who do big things. I remember when I was a kid, watching a Michael Jackson video was like an event. There was like, especially in the 80s, there was like the video that you could tell there was a camera and somebody singing, maybe not even singing. That was a video, right? And then came Michael Jackson's videos, which were choreography. And we hired the best director in Hollywood to shoot the video. And I was just floored by that level of commitment of excellence, right?
And excellence, that's a good word.
And it just inspired me. And then as a kid, watching street art, when graffiti came around and the way kind of Andy Warhol and Basquiat brought the streets into the galleries, it was still done on a very high level. And I've just always been inspired by these different worlds of, I remember in hip hop, in the beginning, it was kind of one way, and then a group like Tribe Called Quest that brought in jazz. And there was these layerism that I'm always age had nothing to do with it. People can be 20 or they can be 60. But there really emerged this thing of ambition and producing something that was of quality. And I was always inspired by that. And entering those worlds, whether I worked in Japan or Switzerland or France, everything else was just detailed. The fact that I didn't speak great French, okay, I need to learn the craft and be better at the craft. So, and then the great thing, as you know, when you are in a city like New York, there's never a lack of talent or ambition. So you get inspired by each other. Like I always said that to you, I'm so inspired by how you bring your audience in and you are traveling with your audience and they're traveling with you. So people are going to go out. There's going to be a whole generation of Eitan followers that are discovering India for the first time or didn't know there was a Jewish community in Brazil or wherever you come from.
Yeah.
And that identity and culture is so important to unlock.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, when it comes to your restaurants, I feel like you really create an experience and a destination.
Thank you.
Your restaurants, it's not just somewhere like, all right, I'm going to go quickly pick up, a piece of chicken and go home. What is that like for you? It's interesting, when you talk about what inspires you for your restaurants and cooking, you talk a lot about art, hip hop, music, and that's very reflected in your restaurants. Can you tell me a bit about, your process of creating the restaurant? I feel like the food, I don't want to say that the physical space is more art than the food, but I feel like the artistry of the food you cook is matched the same level artistry of the physical space.
It's great reflection, and thank you for understanding it, because for me, I took super high-end fine dining for such a big, long part of my earlier part of the career, but there was always a lack. Something left me empty. The food was great. The tasting menus were amazing, but there was lack of, there was so many other things that I thought about. And once I started to think about the restaurant more from a thematic or what problem are we solving with this restaurant, narrative-driven restaurant, everything changed.
Yeah.
Opening Red Rooster with a big open kitchen and being in Harlem, but not bringing up just my downtown chefs to cook there, show the world, look what we can do. But actually, no, cook in the community, of the community, designing the community of the community, and bring in the arts and music from the community. Same thing with Hav Mar, right? Like really, Hav is a Swedish word and it means ocean, and Mar is the Ethiopian word and it means honey. But thinking about post-pandemic, like what can we bring into hospitality that's not whatever we or I haven't done a great job with? And I felt like, supporting women in leadership position, we can do more of that.
Definitely.
Particularly supporting women of color. So that's why we have this team that is absolutely amazing. So for me, whether it's Metropolis, cooking, being inspired by the city of New York and all the culture and the incredible greatness that we have in this city, but not just Manhattan, but actually all of my first, right? So I think cooking for the public is such a privilege as a chef, as a creative. It's the biggest privilege that you can have.
Yeah. It's something that I aspire one day. I go in my cook when I get people to eat my food.
No, but you aspire.
Nothing like having.
But you're building it also a tribe, right? You are building a tribe, and that tribe will trust you and go with you through these experiences. And one day, when you decide to turn that light on, you have a community to cook for. So for me, it's really about, I want to share here. I'm on this journey. If we do this well, will you come with me on this journey?
Yes.
But it means that we really got to respect our audience, have fun with it, and bring them to spaces. There is no space that is Swedish Ethiopian, right? That's for Hav Mar. So the whole goal was to make one of one in a landscape of 20,000 restaurants. How do you create one of one?
Out. Yeah. Is there like a specific part of the process that's your favorite? Opening a restaurant is so complex. There's obviously the physical space. There's designing the menu. There's the pricing. There's staffing. There's the cocktails, the wine, the art you have on. Do you have a favorite part? Or is there even is opening night your favorite? And that might be the most stressful part, I would assume.
What I love is the process, and the process goes in many different. So in the beginning, I think about it. Is this a restaurant? Is this an article? Is it a cookbook? I really put it into where my creative process is. Once that's done and I've decided this is a restaurant, then the neighborhood really comes into place. And it has to be a neighborhood that I really fall in love with, or has some level of history with. Whether it's Chelsea and art, or whether it's Metropolis, was obviously where 9/11 happened, and remembering myself cooking there a week before 9/11, or there's all these places that all New Yorkers have a very special and layered relationship with. But it has to be special. And then the second is watching the growth of the people. And I mean the growth of the people really in three different ways. One is obviously your tribe, first tribe, which is the staff. Watching a runner become a server. Watching a line cook become a sous chef. Watching a executive chef really blossom, like Fariel or Chef Sherry. Then the second tribe is, you know, a restaurant is a marketplace where we bring in purveyors. Watching when somebody said, hey, we launched our beer line because of you guys. And we have customers now. We're now in Whole Foods because of X, Y, and Z. And we were that bridge. Right? So watching, like at Almar, a list of wine purveyors are really from marginalized communities. So wine list, it's not about the grandest, but it's the best to us, right? Focusing on women, wineries, focusing on winemakers that are from marginalized communities. Okay, so I know the why when they're there. Watching them grow. And then watching the guests respond to that. And then these are the moments where, hey, my friend has been here 3 times and now she's bringing me, or he's bringing me, or we had our kids' graduation and now the kids coming by themselves. But whatever that growth is, I'm like, wow, it gets me very emotional, all these 3 steps. And these opening nights that we talk about, the joy really reflects these 3 communities on top of the hustle coming together.
Wow. Yeah, no, I really think the most incredible part for me, and you know, a lot of people ask me like, oh, Eitan, like, when are you gonna open a restaurant? Do you open a restaurant? And like, for me, the skill set I have with what I do and the skill of opening a restaurant and being a restaurant chef, I would say like, I feel very self-aware of my abilities. That is not my ability. Like I will work there, and get to that. But it really is incredible that you're able, you know.
It doesn't have to be. You're creative. And I think the great thing with food today is that you find a lane that's worked for you at this stage of your life. And that doesn't mean that it can't change. It doesn't mean you won't make a collaboration. And you will make the best pop-up. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think as a creative, you will evolve and you will then decide where do you put that energy towards.
And you know, you spoke a lot about, I think it was interesting about learning about the wine lists at your restaurant, you know, trying to, you know, bring forward, you know, diverse winemakers, women's winemakers. And I think truly with wine, for me, the most interesting part beyond the glass is who made it, where it was grown. And something that I've really enjoyed while I've been learning about wine and continue to learn about wine is often the people who make the wine are just as interesting and nuanced and layered and complex and have notes of little different things themselves. And that's I think half the story with, not even half the story, most of the story with wine is, you know, there could be wine in the glass that's fermented grape juice. But who made it? Was it picked by hand? What's their story?
What's the land like?
I mean, I was a few weeks ago, I was in Bordeaux and I went to a winery and the woman who owns the winery is Chinese. And so in this winery, I think you'd really appreciate this. You know, it's the outside of the building, the facade is very classic French. And that inside, there are like the moon doors, a lot of circular door spaces, a lot of, you know, very classic Chinese architecture on the inside. And it was this really incredible blend of Chinese culture and architecture and art with like classic French.
Love it.
Because you're like the heart of French classic wine regions, and it's incredible.
And how did you find her?
I asked my friend who's sommelier where I should go, and she gave me a bunch of lists.
I love that. And you know, think about winemaking, right? It's terroir, right? And first of all, getting access to land, very expensive. Once you have the land, you got to start grow on it, and you have to wait 2 years. So like getting into the wine game means very often generational wealth, which a lot of communities doesn't have access to. So it's so what you get in the glass, it's really a family's journey. And really you're drinking almost, you know, for me, it's like drinking a piece of art, you know? That's the level of studying, you know?
No, it really is. Well, I feel like a glass of wine is really art. That's a good way to say it. And I think especially once you've visited wineries and you meet the people, it's like, it really, I mean, some of my favorite wines in here are not the most expensive ones, not the hardest to get, or just ones where like, I've met the person whose hands literally picked the grapes and did the entire process. With your, you know, how ambitious or how much you have going on, what do you do when you're doing these big ventures to, you know, stay focus? You know, obviously you have an incredible team around you. I've met your team. You know, they're fun.
Yeah.
Also fashionable like you. Incredibly knowledgeable, professional. Yet at the same time, like, I mean, I remember we were in Bahamas sitting at your restaurant there, right on the water with a bunch of your executive team and just like drinking some cocktails and relaxing. And, you know, leadership obviously starts at the top. Are there times where that's overwhelming, or, you know, I feel like even though you've done it, is it still overwhelming when you open a new venture, or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's no one does anything alone.
Yeah.
Right. So the joy for me is to watching team grow and having these go through these battles.
Yeah.
That sometimes crosses borders and culture, but then getting on the other side when you not compromising too much, but you actually learn from those experiences. And I think that collaboration are sometimes the best opportunity to get to know one another.
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone has ideas and wants to share their journey. And like in Bahamas, for example, you know, our team there, all leadership are local from the islands, from Bahamas. And of course, because for us, it's like they know their islands better than we do, right? But there was a process to get there, and most restaurants there are not. Right? So we were like, here is an opportunity to partner with the best local talent. So like, coming in with the idea that we know everything, you're going to lose. You know, coming in like, hey, this is our standards and this is what we're passionate about. And then bringing in the local teams like, hey, we really like this too. But actually, this is not the place for that. This is the holidays and tradition we have in this place. We need you guys to honor those too. I'm like, of course, you know.
Incredible, yeah.
Did not know about Junkanoo before I was in Bahamas. I knew about Caribbean carnivals, but I didn't know what Junkanoo was, right? So I had to learn that. And now we figure out how to cook around that. So I think I've been an immigrant 6 times in different countries. So each time you learn, it's an opportunity like, it smells different here. It tastes different here. People speak with a different language, but they're still laughing. And if I want to laugh with them, it's my job to learn and understand the culture.
Sounds like what you're saying that's so profound is like, to be a good leader, you have to like trust your team and listen to them, and, you know, really be vulnerable that you don't know everything, but what you do know is how to surround yourself with people that know everything.
I will look at these 2 shoulders, right? We all got them. I think you have to have humility on this shoulder, which for me is work ethic, grace, and all of that. But then on this shoulder, be cocky enough to believe in your ideas and stick to them. And then somewhere in here, you have that road that is your identity that you want to work through. But you need both. Yeah. I need that guy on this guy every day saying, you know what?
You can do it.
There is a need for an Ethiopian Swedish restaurant in New York. You didn't know it. There is a need for that. And at the same time, you have to like, you know, wait a minute. You're in Chelsea. You need to bring art in, and that's what we're bringing community and be like, hey, what are we going to do?
Fascinating, that balance of like humility, but I feel like you have to be a almost like like a toxic optimist to take on so many ventures.
And fun, and everything's not going to work, you know. But I remember coming over here when I was 21, 22, and I knew on the flight over that, you know, I felt like the richest guy in the world. I had $300. I had a place to stay, and I had a job. For me, it's like, what more do you need? You have a job, you have a place to stay, and you have some pocket change, right?
That's all you need.
Like, that's all I need, because I knew once I got to the kitchen, I knew I could add value. So there's humility in that journey. Like, I slept in a sofa. Okay, that's a normal New York startup journey.
Of course.
But you know what? I had roommates. People would say, oh, it's annoying to have roommates. No, they were my friends. They were my guys to have fun in New York, right? So it depends how you look at the glass and really enjoy the journey of, whoa, this is going to be a different endeavor than being in my comfortable suburban mom and dad's house in Sweden, in Gothenburg. Very comfortable.
Very different, and
enjoyed it, and I'm grateful. But I wouldn't get to know myself or figure out what is my strengths or what are my battles without going on this journey, you know?
Let's do a
this smells so good.
So
can I come over there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, come here. Okay. So little food update for the family. So we just have, this is boiling off our potatoes in there. I mean, I think growing up, my dad's side of the family is Hungarian. And so we ate a lot of Hungarian food growing up.
Yes.
And, people always ask, like, where did you, learn about cooking from? And, my mom did most of the cooking in the house, but my dad was like, he had his things he made.
Yeah.
And he did it very well.
Yeah.
And it was his lane, which was on the Jewish holiday Purim. He would make the hummus with the triangle cookies. He made his Hungarian goulash.
Nice.
He makes matzo balls. He has his lanes. And so...
Don't mess with that.
No.
Oh.
Now that I live in my own apartment, I can do it. But,
shout out to Dad.
Yeah, shout out Dad. But, I think that, with Hungarian cooking, it's a lot of kind of the beauty of like simple flavors. We have our paprika in here. I'm going to add some celery salt, some onion powder.
But you know what I think about goulash and the paprika? Because the paprika is really good. You need
good, really good paprika.
But I think there's similarities between berbere and the paprika that you have in the goulash. First time I had a goulash, I'm like, and I had this before.
Yeah.
It takes the heat down a notch. But other than that, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm always so interested about Hungarian food in that sense because that amount of paprika, maybe in Turkey, but all those other neighboring countries, you don't see it that much.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of paprika.
You don't see it in Austria and you don't see it in German, but right there, it's there.
Yeah. No, I went to Budapest a few times.
Beautiful city.
I think it's one of the most underrated cities in Europe.
Stunning.
You have the water, you have incredible culture, food. My favorite part of the trip actually was I woke up at 5 a.m. and I walked for like 2 hours around the city before the city woke up. Yeah. It was gorgeous.
It's when you're traveling, you can have the magical moment, which is not going to the tourist destination.
No.
It's these moments where, like, maybe jet lag, and you're like, I'm discovering the city. I just had a moment like that when I was in Paris last time. Wherever we were shooting, where I stayed, it was like, maybe like a, 20-minute drive or whatever. It's like, I'm going to walk it. And just walking through these streets in Paris that I haven't walked before was my favorite moment, too.
I actually, I have not lived in New York quite as long as you. I've been here now for 3 years, which I've been told I need another 8 to become a New Yorker.
No, you're a New Yorker. You're a New Yorker. But we stand big passports here.
I try to even remind myself to do that here sometimes. I'll sometimes go on walks like early in the morning and I just try to walk around the city, go to an area I haven't been, and almost like be a tourist in my own city.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's so easy to get stuck in your own routines of being in the same place, the same everything.
When you discover, for me, for example, if you go to areas in Queens, for example, where the food tours,
oh my God, incredible.
That's a place like that. There are places in the Bronx you can do that. I just took my son to Rockaway Beach, which was amazing. And we rollerbladed and kind of went on a food tour. And it was just like, you take the city for granted.
No, there's so much
for him, it was the first time. So it's like, staycations, great.
Yeah, those you can pour in once they get a little brown to them, right, please.
Yeah.
So we did a little switcheroo. You're not thinking.
No, where did you grow up? I thought you grew up here in New York.
No, I grew up I like to think so, but I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's this distant land with a lot of greenery.
In Pennsylvania, New York.
Yeah.
Got it.
I want to go into my next cycle, which kind of goes into what we're talking about this, my morning walks when I travel. So, in Judaism, we have the concept of Shabbat, which is every Saturday or every Friday night till Saturday night is a day of rest. My question for you is, what is your Shabbat? What is your way during your week, your busy week? You have so much going on. You have kids, you have a family, you have businesses. What's your time of rest throughout the week?
Well, so I think one of my favorite ways is the routine, right? Like in the morning. So my routine, I get up very early.
What time?
Oh, it might not be very early, but I get up at basically 5:30. I get up.
That's early. Yeah. I do too. I'm a morning person.
But I love it. And Diane and Maya don't get up until 6, so that's like 30 minutes. And I listen, try to catch up to a podcast, either in Swedish or good news podcast
or Insatiable.
Yeah. But then it really starts with me setting up breakfast, right, for the family. And it's such a good moment. And then around 6:15, Zion comes down. And then it's his world. Like it's what are we doing in school and all of that stuff. Then by 7, he's going. We got him. He's going on the bus. And then right after that, in another moment, which is like one of my favorites in days. Mine are very often we're going to watch 20-minute walk.
Really? Wow.
Every day, and it's the only time we know it's just us.
Wow.
And we can actually, okay, you got this, I got this, da, da, da. We really, it's like our moment of strategy, sanity, all of those things. So it's 2 laps around our park. And we know on that second lap,
you're like, it's done.
Okay, so our partnership is really around that, right?
Wow,
no podcast, no music, nothing, just us.
Others.
Because the minute we're back, it's Grace's time. And then, again, breakfast. But, and then I bike her to school.
Wow.
Which is so much fun because we go different ways and all of that stuff. And we play all kinds of music, and it's like, you know.
Oh my God, I want a Marcus morning. That sounds so fun.
And then it's, by that time, it's like 8:30. And then okay, by the time I bike back from dropping off Gracie, it's serious time. Like, then it's like all work, because then Sweden is in the afternoon then. I work in Sweden, so I know at 9 o'clock, I have like an hour and a half to 2 hours where I don't really speak to my team. But it's just I'm dealing with stuff in Scandinavia. And after that, it's go.
Wow.
But that morning, I love that morning and stuff. So, and when I travel, I miss that kind of, like, you don't connect with your wife in the same way.
Yeah, maybe you want to add also some more, I'm going to grab some more water.
You know, and
fascinating. I mean, I love a good jam-packed morning too, but I really find that like time in the morning before most of the world is up is like the most peaceful.
Something I've not done yet, but I want to get to, and I do it a little bit more when I travel, but when I'm by myself, is to take 15 minutes. I don't say a word.
Ooh, a little vow of silence.
Just a minute. Sometimes I stretch, because now when I've been cooking so long, you know, your body goes like my hands, a lot of hand movements. It's 15 minutes of just silence and just taking in.
I should probably practice that. I'm a talker. Even when I'm in my room alone, I talk to my cat, my dog. I update them. They never respond. The food smells incredible. Let's take a moment. Yeah, add that in there. Okay, that's how you know we're with the real chef over here. The flavor was in that pan. Wow, flavor. Oh, let's do, okay, so I like to do a moment where we do, I call it our little ASMR break, where let's both lean into the food. Yeah. Let the mics pick up that sound. Actually, you do 15 minutes of silence. Let's do 30 seconds of that. Okay? We're both going to count to 30 in our head and then start talking at the same time. Ready? And go. I don't think I could do 15 minutes.
You did good.
That was 30 seconds, and I wanted to start yapping. Wow, 15 minutes. I'm going to practice that.
You, out of anyone, will enjoy it because you have seen so much of the world, and for you, it's going to be like, how do I process that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I remember how excited you were when you went to India, for example.
Yeah.
Such a vast country, many impressions.
A lot of sounds.
Lots of
big sensory overload. Yes.
Where do you process all that? Right? Because it's beyond just what you have on your phone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, and it's spirituality, and it's noise, and it's sound, and it's food.
Yeah.
You know?
Our potatoes are cooked.
Yes.
Now, my dad would be upset at me, and not only was when I FaceTimed him to tell him I was making, he's like, you can't cook this with Marcus and then eat it right after. It needs at least 24 hours in the fridge.
So, you know what?
He's correct. So he was like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, it's not going to be flavorful enough. Like, I was like, Dad, Marcus knows.
Yeah. And we start to be perfect goulash time.
Yeah.
You know,
oh my God, it is.
Fall.
It's goulash o'clock around here.
It's delicious.
While we're eating, the last segment is putting you in the hot dish.
Yes.
The hot seat, the hot dish.
Dish.
We don't have kitchens in the...
I'm ready.
We don't have seats in the kitchen. So I guess you first 4 questions, long answers. No, that's the idea here.
So good.
We're going to do first 4 questions, and then we're going to go to rapid fire. My first question is, what would your last meal be?
Similar to this, it would be something from, I love Dorowat Ethiopian food. Still like that. I probably would have some type of a herring or gravlax in there. Yeah, you know, you just want to experience your journey. Like with so something Ethiopian, something Swedish. I think I would definitely.
Yeah, mine would be an unlimited Indian buffet.
Oh, nice. You're going out in style. Like it.
Okay, what is your earliest food memory?
Oh, it's definitely going foraging with my grandmother and just picking lingonberries and blueberries in the forest in Sweden, being like between pink, red, cranberry, like bluish in my face. But that was our way to discover, right? And I learned so much, like, oh, the blueberries are not ready yet. The cranberry, like lingonberries are sour. So like that was our time to discover. It was 3 of us as kids with one grandmother, and you were just running around. And that was how food really started for us.
Do you like to eat alone ever? I love to eat alone.
I do like to eat alone.
Because culturally, Ethiopian food, that was one of the most incredible things, like I remember from my trip to Addis, is culturally in Ethiopia, you eat as a family. I also love to eat alone. Are you
So, since I travel a lot, like for example, eating sushi alone, it's a great moment, right? You can think about stuff. We can kind of go back and forth between, is the rice good, is the fish good? But it's also a moment there with the chopsticks and everything. That's a meal, like a ramen or a sushi by itself, great. Like I said, Ethiopian food that is meant to be shared, not so great by itself.
When you're at a meal with a lot of people, do you like to do your own plate of food or shared plates?
I love share.
Yeah. Anytime the vibes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Anytime I'm at a meal and I'm like, oh, well, we're all going to share. Like, no, I'm just going to get my own thing. Red flag. That's the last meal we're eating together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. You can come to the after party, but you're not.
Yeah. No. Oh, do you like to go out or get takeout when you're not cooking for yourself?
Go out. I just love.
You're a man of the people.
Going to a restaurant. It's not just the food that you get in your plate. What's the carpet here? Like, what's the music? What's the smell? Like all the sensories that takeout can't give you, right?
Yeah.
What's the weird person answering the phone here? Whatever it is, like, and I'm like, I'm so in love, right? Like going to K-Town here or going to a great Indian restaurant. It's not just what's in the bowl or the plate.
The ambiance.
Everything. It's like the guy yelling from the kitchen. It's all of this. You're really out and about, and you're just picking up culture. And for me, that's why I love New York City. Right? Yeah. We're so spoiled. We have it in front of us.
Favorite Prince song?
Yes. Thank you for asking about Prince. I love Prince so much. So even when he's messing up, I love him. There's this great clip that came on my phone the other day when James Brown had a concert. So Michael Jackson was in the audience. Michael goes up and does Michael and Prince, and then Michael and James Brown to perfection. Prince happens to be in the audience too. James Brown said, well, we got another young guy. They're super talented. Prince comes out. But, his gig is a little bit harder because he's got to tune his guitar. And for whatever reason, the guitar doesn't work. And Prince gets upset. So he's ending up doing too much. And I still like, go Prince, go Prince. He totally did too much. I'm like, even in the worst moment.
So all of them. Your answer could be all of them.
There's a song that's not that famous that I really love. It's called Mountain. Has so many layers of it, and it's on the 3rd album. It's after the Purple Rain album. Then I love also, it's a very mellow song called Sometimes It Rains in April, and Sometimes It Snows in April. And it's just a very mellow Prince song.
Only noted.
And it's just like, and then I love also all the songs that other artists covered. And then, of course, Prince goes back and makes these songs himself. And then you realize, damn, he does it better than, just to show that he's the boss.
Do you have a favorite clothing brand? You are famous for wearing the most incredible clothes.
No.
Anything and everything.
No, I don't. I love when I get to a place just like food, and just next to the food market is very often garments, and you start to see what shawl, what are the pants style, what are the shirt size, like all of that stuff. Like if you're in West Africa, the pant size are this.
Yeah.
If you're in India, the colors are like turmeric and curries, That's what I love. Then mixing in maybe an Italian or a French or a New York City brand within that, but just to wear only Frenchie or something like that, that's something, no, it's too boring.
Do you put weird food like that you love?
I loved eating like cockroaches in Cambodia, for example. The way that was introduced to me was really chopped, crispy, on top of a tartar.
Wow.
Lob. And I did not think I would like it, but the texture of it was like, this is good. But then like, oh, it's salty, it's crunchy, and then it's like a lot of protein. So it's also good for me.
No, I feel like those are the best foods is when you eat something that, you know, with the culture and environment you've brought up in, you're like, your vegetables are like, that doesn't look like food. And then you're exposed to like other people's foods and what they eat and textures that like are totally foreign to you. And you're like, oh, I understand why there's billions of people on earth that like this.
Yeah.
And I've been just missing out. Okay, last question. Do you have a favorite restaurant you own or favorite child, or do you want to just plead the fifth to both of those questions?
Plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth. Okay. Oh, you're enjoying the goulash. Amazing.
Really good. On the first day, you can tell your dad that you're not trying to outscore him, but he's good on the first day too.
Dad, you hear here. Your goulash.
It's really good.
As approved by a professional chef and restaurateur. This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Being a guinea pig, I kind of like it.
Yes, I hope you at home enjoyed this. If you want to learn more about Marcus, follow along his journeys, learn about all his restaurants, find the nearest restaurant to you, run there to enjoy a delicious dinner. I'll put all the details down below. We have some exciting guests coming up. We have Gail Simmons on the show.
Oh, great.
Bill Gates is coming on the show.
Yes.
Which you just did an event with Bill.
Yes.
So lots more coming up. You can find me on social media, Eitan Bernath, at Eitan, E-I-T-A-N. And if you need Marcus and I, we're just going to be chowing down on some third, fourth, and fifth, possibly. There might not be any goulash to try tomorrow.
Goulash.
Yeah.